the middle of the night. She was done up like it was happy hour. And she had food. I didn't have any of those disposable pans, so I just cooked it up in my good Pyrex and brought it straight on over here. That was real nice of you. Sure it was, Jessie thought, surprised at her own rudeness, however internal. That gave Darlie Jo the perfect excuse to come back tomorrow, or the next day, and pick up her pan. Couldn't Seth see through this obvious attempt of the way to a man's heart is through his stomach? Darlie Jo paused, as if there was something else she needed from him. Or maybe it was just the expectant look on her face, as though she was waiting for him to pull back the aluminum covering and take a bite right then and there. "Did you like the Mountain Dew cake I brought you last week?" She laid a hand on his arm in such a way Jessie was sure it had nothing to do with baked goods. "Best one yet," he said with a smile. If she didn't know any better, she would have sworn he was enjoying himself. The fact of the matter was, she didn't know better. As one of the most eligible bachelors in the county, Seth probably thrived off all the attention and food constantly provided by the husband-trawling women of the county. He was a good-looking man, single, virile, handsome. What more could a girl want? It was just that Jessie had never seen him like this, with a woman on the prowl. "Well, I've gotta..." He nodded toward Jessie. Darlie Jo looked startled to see her there, as if she hadn't known anyone else was in the world except her and the new sheriff. "Oh, right," she said, unable to hide her disappointment. She trailed her fingers across his arm as she started to leave. Jessie resisted the urge to roll her eyes one more time. "Thanks again," he said as she backed toward her car. "I'll just pick up my pan later." Surprise, surprise, that innocent little phrase sounded covertly like an invitation to jump headlong into bed. Or maybe Jessie was just overtired and imagining things. Darlie Jo licked her lips. "Nope." "That'll be fine," Seth said. "Okay, then." She waved her beauty queen wave and turned back to cross the street. Seth waited to make sure she got into her car okay, then opened the door to the courthouse and escorted Jessie inside. She collapsed into the hard-backed chair positioned in front of his desk. Another pan of something sat on top of all the unfiled papers and reports, along with a round aluminum pie plate that contained, if she wasn't mistaken, Lindy Shoemake's Banana Cream Delight. She watched as he prowled around the room, turning on lights, flipping through his messages, and checking on Mr. Jones, who had managed to land himself in jail yet again. Seth's actions were like Western poetry in motion, and despite her near physical and mental exhaustion, Jessie couldn't help but watch him. She supposed she couldn't blame Darlie Jo for wanting to snare him as a husband. After all, Darlie Jo was the daughter of the old sheriff and knew all about life with a small-town lawman. Then there were the obvious reasons. Seth Langston was about the best-looking man in the county, aside from Chase, of course. But despite the fact that they both had those Langston green eyes, they were as different as two brothers could be. Chase was blonde, whipcord lean, and took life as it came. Seth was dark and serious, 6'2" of pure cowboy power and grace. Seth was walking proof that what they said was true. You can take the man out of Texas, but you can't take Texas out of the man. All those years in California hadn't changed him all that much. Maybe added a few lines at the corners of those green eyes, deeper slashes at the sides of his sculpted mouth. But that was all. He was still a Texan through and through. Still all cowboy. Cowboy. That was the sum of all 5 Langston brothers. Maeve, Jake, Seth, Tyler, and Chase. They were all cowboy through and through. As the middle child, Seth was the peacemaker, the lawman. Jessie could close her eyes and imagine him as the sheriff of Page County 150 years ago, with a thick mustache that was the style of the times, black John B. pulled low over his brow, and a badge carved out of a silver dollar pinned to his leather vest. But the badge Seth actually wore